Chairman Garcia, thank you for making time for business and politics. It must be difficult for you these days to carve out time, but we really appreciate you.
I would like to really thank you for the invitation. And of course, anytime I'll be here, I'll be able to explain. And of course, whatever we are doing in the COMELEC is better that the people will know everything.
Yes, well, a lot of eyes are on COMELEC, and the situation is very fluid precisely because of the preparations for the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections. Originally in December, but of course there's a new law that postpones it to next year. But I think, as you had anticipated, there was a challenge in the Supreme Court. I think I heard your interview on another network saying that there may be some developments even before this program airs. So, but maybe you can give us maybe an update as of today.
As of today, there is that law was signed by the President the other week, which says that the Barangay and SK election will be postponed and reset by October of 2023. Supposedly, the election could have pushed through by December 5 of this year. So, as far as the COMELEC is concerned, we had been preparing for the December 5, 2022 elections. But however, because of the signing by the President of the new law, then we have to at least make some reservation as far as certain procurements are concerned, and thus we have to slow down as far as certain preparations are concerned. But yesterday, as I correctly predicted, I said that somebody will definitely question the legality and constitutionality of this law. It can either be a citizen's arm, an interest group, a private individual, or a taxpayer. And well, a taxpayer actually filed a case yesterday at the Supreme Court. Today, the Supreme Court supposedly had an en banc session, and because of the transcendental importance, Sir Klink, of this petition and this law, then I honestly believe that the Supreme Court will deliberate on this matter and include this in the agenda. So, if I may, Sir Klink, my prediction is, as a practitioner before, it can either be the Supreme Court will dismiss immediately the petition, or the Supreme Court may take cognizance of the case, meaning that the case will be given due course, and therefore require the COMELEC as the party respondent to comment on the new law, or even the office of the Solicitor General to comment on the petition. Or the Supreme Court may either grant the petition, the request for a temporary restraining order or a status quo ante order, in which case, if that will happen, then the status quo is maintained, and therefore, as if there is no...
It will push through.
Yes, and the December 5, 2022 election will push through. That's why the COMELEC is in a dire predicament at this point. That's why we are awaiting so much the announcement or the news that will be coming from the Supreme Court.
Right, just to talk about the preparation, I know you had anticipated this, but that doesn't make your job any easier. You said before that the absolute deadline was actually much earlier. I think you said
it should be about August 31.
August 31.
Yes, we had been pleading Congress that hopefully they will be giving the right signal by August 31. Okay. And then August 31 came. I said hopefully before September 31 that will be very, very clear whether to postpone or not the Barangay and SK election. And here comes September 31. And of course, by that time the Senate and the House was able to pass already an enrolled bill postponing the election. It was only the other week that the President was able to sign the bill. It is very, very difficult on the part of the COMELEC. We should understand it's not only a matter of just setting the date. It's a logistical problem. It's a problem on procurement. It's a problem of mobilizing people. We are going to allow 91 million voters to vote using 199,000 precincts with almost 700,000 precinct workers, meaning the electoral board members, the teachers, and we have to print a lot of the ballots, 91 million ballots, the election returns, and other accountable forms. So at this point, the COMELEC will find it so difficult to really meet certain deadlines and to prepare that much. If in case the election will push to by December 5.
Well, you seem to be well prepared for a number of contingencies, but as you said, there are still concerns. What are some of your fears? Say, for example, we are assuming, we don't know what the Supreme Court will say and what the implication will be on the actual date of the elections, but say the Supreme Court puts out the TRO. It pushes through on December. I think that would be, if correct me if I'm wrong, that will be the most problematic or most difficult
Yes, definitely, Sir Klink.
situation for you to. What are the things that you are looking at to, that could cause problems in the elections if it pushes through? What are some of your concerns?
The first concern, of course, and definitely, are we going to be able to print the 91 ballots on time?
Okay.
91
But
ballots.
you have been continually printing the ballot,
but we stopped. We
Okay.
suspended the printing in order for us to
change the date.
To change the date and make the proper adjustments. It's not
Okay.
very easy to immediately change the date because
Right.
we have to prepare a new template. We are to print 91 million ballots, 67 million ballots for the regular voters, and almost 24 to 25 million ballots for the SK.
Okay.
And so the second problem and second scenario will be, do we have the ballot boxes in place? Because
Okay.
as far as we're concerned, last 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we had we were lacking about more or less than 20,000 ballot boxes
Okay.
to be used for the barangay and SK election. Hopefully, we'll be able to get the required number of ballot boxes, but it will depend on the suppliers. So there are certain suppliers, Sir Klink, that we had counted, but
Okay.
at this point, since the President was able to sign the law last week,
Right.
some of the suppliers said, well, because...
Actually, some of the suppliers are
Yeah.
also confused because they don't know if they're going to go ahead with a contract or
Yes,
hold
sir.
back, or because of the law,
Yeah.
or now with the Supreme Court.
Yeah, try to imagine a newspaper like yours, the
Yes.
Manila Times,
Yes.
are going to buy in advance so many number of rolls of papers.
I cannot, because as you know, paper is perishable.
That's precisely our point,
Right,
Sir
yeah.
Klink. And so we are in a dire predicament. But of course, that's our mandate. That's in the Constitution.
Right.
That's a
You have
constitutional
no
duty.
choice but to comply.
We have to comply, and therefore, if that is the case, then the present law will be at this point, if there is a status quo ante order or a TRO
Right.
from the Supreme Court, is that we have to proceed by December 5,
Right.
2022.
Now, again, going back to the difficulty, you said you were proceeding with the printing, although you stopped to change the template for the date. How many ballots have been printed? And I think you were implying also that some of the paper for the other ballots that you require has yet to be supplied by the supplier.
Yes, yes, sir.
Is that correct?
That's correct, Sir Klink, simply because of the announcement that indeed the President signed the...
Right, because they wouldn't, deliver otherwise if you don't need it until
Yes, sir.
next year.
And all of
Yeah.
these papers are imported abroad. These are not locally sourced.
Right.
And so if that is the case, we were able to print already 10 million ballots. Therefore,
Okay.
we have the remaining
81 million.
81 million ballots more. The National Printing Office is able to print more or less about 4 million. They said that they can be able to maximize the printing of the ballots by at least 4 million per day. So if that will be the case, we will be needing at least 20 more days.
Okay.
On the assumption that the papers are here already,
Okay.
and the papers will be arriving on time. So simply because we slowed down really in view of the fact that why will you prepare that much? We are being questioned before if the election will be nonetheless suspended or will be reset to another date. So just the same, we exercise caution, we exercise diligence, but just the same, we did not stop on procurement
Right.
and such other activities.
Wow. And so, of course, papers is one. You mentioned, of course, the ballots, but there are other things that are consumable, right? The ink, pens. I mean, are these all in the possession of COMELEC, or based on your original timetable, you were waiting for the supplier to deliver, or what is the status?
We are now waiting for the suppliers to deliver as far as these other
Okay.
consumables are concerned. But
Okay.
we made it sure, Sir Klink, that during the bids and awards process, the procurement process, we were assured by the suppliers, and using also our pre-qualification requirements, that, for example, the indelible ink that they will be supplying, or the pens that they'll be supplying, that they will not be drying up by next year.
Right, yeah, but I was going to say, depending on how you store it, by the time you have the elections, it may not be as usable diba?
Yeah,
As
but
you would expect.
there was a guarantee, and at the same time, meron naman po kaming performance ban.
Okay.
So we can guarantee our people that don't
Okay.
worry, nothing will be wasted.
Okay.
Don't worry that whatever we printed, even if the date is December 5, 2022, even if the election will be by October 2023, we'll just issue a resolution that whatever is printed with this date, we can just the same use all of these ballots by next year, or that we have to ensure that all the supplies, election paraphernalia that were delivered so far as of this time, that we are able to safekeep and warehouse the same, and to ensure the good quality of these supplies.
Well, I was going to ask you what keeps you up at night, and it seems like there are so many things that keeps you up at night. But we have to take a quick break. This is SMNI's Business and Politics. We're talking to Commissioner Chairman George Garcia.